Now, you're speaking at the Conservative Party conference addressing the masses tomorrow, but the Foreign Secretary is giving his speech today, Boris Johnson. Now, he's very successful at the moment at pulling focus from what you're trying to do. And I wonder, therefore, whether you have asked for or seen his speech so that you know what he's going to say, because he seems to be giving interviews to newspapers which are catching you slightly off guard.
No, what Boris is doing, yes, speeches are seen in advance of them being given here at the party conference. And what we're doing overall at the conference here is showing how we will build a country that works for everyone. We've got announcements today from the Home Secretary, from the Health Secretary in terms of training more nurses, for example, and the Chancellor yesterday and Sajid Javid on Sunday about building more houses and giving more support to people who are renting their accommodation. And what Boris will be talking about is how we can build a global Britain. That's what I've said in the past. I want to ensure that as we leave the European Union, yes, we get the best Brexit deal for Britain, but also that we build that global Britain, a sovereign nation standing tall in the world, trading our way around the world. And Boris will be talking about the optimism and ambition he and I both have for this country once we leave the European Union.
Well, the problem is, Prime Minister, that Boris's ambition at the moment seems solely to stab you in the back and get your job. And you were asked at the weekend, is anybody unsackable in your government? And I would put it to you with great respect, wasn't the smart answer to that to be, of course nobody's unsackable, including Boris Johnson? And wouldn't the smart thing to do to restore perhaps your authority with the government, with your party, and indeed with the electorate, wouldn't it be quite a good idea if Boris keeps just openly defying you and openly towing his own line to just sack his sorry little backside and kick him out of your government?
Well, Piers, what I have to say, I think that you talk about restoring faith with the electorate. Actually, I think what members of the public want is for us not to focus on the individual job of any one of the members of the cabinet, not to focus on our jobs, but to actually worry about their jobs and their futures. That's what this conference is about. That's what we've been talking about. That's what we have been doing with the announcements we've been making, showing how we will build a better future for people in this country. I think that's what they want to see their government dealing with.
Well, I'm sure it is. The problem is all they're reading about is Boris this, Boris that. That's all anyone seems to be caring about. The other worry, I think, if I were in your shoes, is, you know, we watched Chris Grayling giving an address yesterday to 3 men and a dog. It looks like there's nobody up there. Compare that to Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour conference, which seemed to be like a rock stadium with people chanting his name. And the impression is that the losers in the last election actually were the winners, and that you, the winner, ended up being the loser. And I think one of the key things for you surely now is to present a vision to the British people of authority, of leadership, and of a clear idea of exactly where you think we're going with Brexit. Because at the moment, I don't think people really know.
Well, first of all, we have set out that clear vision. I set out a clear vision for the mission of my government when I first became Prime Minister, and that is the mission that we are continuing to follow. It's about building a country that does work for everyone. That's what our announcements this week have all been about. We've made announcements, for example, on extending Help to Buy, because I recognise many young people are worried that they can't get their foot on the first rung of the housing ladder. They can't own a home of their own. And when I say young people, we're talking about people under the age of 40. This is not a younger cohort than that. So we're extending Help to Buy to help yet more people, tens of thousands more people, actually be able to own their own home. What we're setting out through this week is how we are taking concrete action. And that's the difference between us and Labour. You can stand up at a conference and promise all sorts of things, but what matters is, can you deliver on those?
Okay.
And when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it because we take a balanced approach to our economy that enables us to do it.
Okay, but talking of concrete action, just to clarify, is anybody, including Boris Johnson, unsackable in your government? Can we just have a clear answer?
Well, I was asked that question some time ago, and I said, no, of course, a Prime Minister makes decisions about who's in their cabinet. But crucially, what I would say is this, Piers, that actually you talked a little earlier about strong leadership and what this shows about leadership. You know, weak leadership is having a cabinet full of yes men. Weak leadership is having a team of people who only agree with you. Actually, strong leadership is about having a diverse range of voices around the cabinet table who then come together, who discuss the issues and then come up with the answer. And you said also a little earlier that you wanted a concrete proposal for Brexit. That's exactly what we did. We came together, we discussed the government's position, the government was united behind a speech that I gave in Florence, in Italy, some 10 days ago, which set out our vision for the special partnership that we want to have with the European Union once we leave. And today, Boris will be talking about a global Britain and how we build that global Britain for Britain when we've left the European Union.
Well, there we must leave it, Prime Minister. Can I just, you say you've seen the speech. Have you cleared it, this speech from Boris Johnson? Have you changed anything?
We certainly, all the speeches that are given by cabinet ministers go through a process of being seen, and obviously because we look at the speeches and look at how that ties in with what other people are saying here in the conference. What Boris is going to be talking about is how this country can be standing up as a sovereign nation once we leave the European Union, how we can build a global Britain trading around the world, and how, as he and I and the whole government are, how we're ambitious and optimistic for the future of this country. And that means we're ambitious and optimistic for the lives of, future lives of your viewers and of their children.
Prime Minister, it's very good to have you on the programme. We appreciate it very much, and best of luck with the rest of your conference.
Thank you, Piers. Thank you.